The obvious beauty of free climbing is you actually giving the rock a chance to win.
On one hand, he's a machine. On the other hand, also just human.
I never thought that I would be able to push the limits of sport climbing. I mean, I was scared of failing, so I would then end up not trying certain things because I knew that I might not succeed on them. Now I've already spent more than 40 days on the project and I don't even know how close I am to sending. With climbing, there's so many different movements. Mother Nature just creates so many more interesting things than just left, right, left, right. I think that's what's appealing about climbing. The challenge to only use the natural features of the rock to get up, which makes rock climbing infinitely hard.
It was strict, yes, because it meant like, okay, you fuckers, no more pouring on the pitons to get to the top. Now you suddenly have a whole new game.
In Germany, they had another school of thought, which turned out to be revolutionary.
It was absolutely counterculture.
The Rotpunkt changed everything. The complete history of climbing changed with this red dot.
The obvious beauty of free climbing is you actually giving the rock a chance to win. It's a fair game. Style. It's about style.
It gave climbing what climbing is nowadays.
Free climbing is just an expression of trying to set yourself free. It's just a way.
Okay, it is a bit bigger than I thought. Okay, and it is steep. It's not a slab all the way. Jumbo Love, the first send was made by Chris Sharma in 2008, climbing it in one giant 80-meter pitch and making it the first 9B, the first 15B worldwide. Two, I think the route is flashable. I think every route is flashable if you're strong enough. Comes down to linking all the sections. Well, there's no trickery to it.
He wants to flash that route? Fast. Flash. Whatever.
Can't be that hard, or the sections can't be that hard. Got a 50-50 chance of climbing it in one day.
I just give slack today. Just give rope. Rope, 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 anchor, bam. That's it. Starts here and up there. In between is just climbing.
The first time I met Alex was in a climbing gym in Southern California. We knew that Alex was going to be strong, but we weren't really prepared for how strong Alex was. It was very clear that at that moment in the gym that was the future.
The route starts off with easy 512D climbing. A bit of a tricky section in there, but afterwards you're standing on a ledge and you get a no-hand rest, and that's where the actual 45 degrees steep climbing starts.
Physically, he's able to climb way harder than he's climbing now, and way harder than the grades are existing.
That's good.
But the mental part of this is also something which is not easy.
The actual crux is it's a big move to a right-hand pinch, and from that position it's really hard to get a left foot drop knee, from which you take a cut loose and take a big swing. From there the endurance part of the route starts. 20 feet before the lip there is an undercling pocket to a crimp, which was for me the red point crux. Got a bit shot down, definitely on my first day. On the second day went a little bit better, but just marginally better, I would say. Like I did it in multiple parts and I linked some sections, but it was still far off anywhere near sending. Yeah, the hands is a little worse. I don't know, it just gets all the edges of the fingers. That's why I taped up this one before, because there was one pocket that was really cutting into it and I didn't want to open it up.
I think he's a bit nervous and not really confident. On one hand, he's a machine. On the other hand, also just human.
I know I am able to climb it. And in my head, if I want to be the best rock climber in the world, I should have already climbed it in my eyes. If I would leave without climbing it, it would just mean I've not got what it takes to be the best.
There's that personality trait where he's hard on himself. You don't just go climbing for fun every day. You're working towards something that is sort of this vision beyond what most people probably are able to conceive. And I mean, he was training for routes he wanted to do years later.
When there is chalk on a hole and someone hold it before, and when you're not able to hold it, to accept this, I'm not the best. Someone climbed before and I am not able.
You look strong, dude.
Yeah, I'm not strong enough. I don't want to blame it on anything else, to be honest. I mean, when it comes down, then it actually was because I was not strong enough. Well, I'm gonna fly back home and I haven't climbed the route I wanted to climb. Well, the hardest part is that you feel like you failed. I feel like I'm probably traveling about 8 months a year. Well over 200 days. I'm gone from home. Every time I come home from travels, that moment when you turn into your home street is always a special moment. Just have my routine back that I was used to from some years ago, and I think that's important. This is performance enhancing drugs. Double power, orange and purple sweet potato.
Potatoes.
Well, rewind. Orange and purple carrots. Special about my hometown is that it's got the Frankenjura next to it, which is it's one of the biggest climbing areas in the world. There's about 12,000 routes in the Frankenjura. Since most crags are not very high, the roots are normally not very long. So that means to make it hard, obviously the moves have to be hard. The rock is limestone, gnarly moves, really hard climbing, small holes and weird holes that you don't really know how to grab first of all, and where it makes a massive difference where you place your index finger, where you place your thumb. Wolfgang Güllich and Kurt Albert back in the day made the Frankenjäger famous.
Climbing is sharing, because you always are with a partner. You have to trust your friend, your partner, and if you trust somebody and if these are friends, we share everything. Maybe not the wife anymore, but... I met Kurt first time in '73. It was outside climbing in Frankenjäger. You are Kurt Albert and I'm Norbert Sandner, and so we climbed together. And a couple of weeks later, he moved to my house. And from this on, we became the best friends. He was a visionary and he was really smart. He studied physics and math. He was always up for irony and good or bad jokes. And he was fearless. He did a lot of barefoot-free solos. He was by far the best climber I ever had seen. And then when he started with his red points, everybody was laughing about him and said, "Hey Kurt, a red point." At first it was with a brush and with a color. And then later on we sprayed them. Red point, done.
At the base of the route, to let people know it was no longer an aid route, if it had been first free climbed, you'd have the red circle painted at the base of it. And that would get the Rotkreis, it's the red circle. Once you started from the ground and placed all your gear on the way up, then the red circle filled in. That would get the Rotpunkt. That was the red point.
If you fall, you have to go down, you have to pull the rope down, and then you have to restart from the ground. That was and still is a definition of the red point climbing.
The idea of the red point came, well, from a coffee pot. In the house that they all shared in Oberschallenbach, they had this one coffee pot. And in order to get the spout to pour, you'd line up this red dot with the spout, and it would open up and pour coffee. And that's where the actual red dot thing came from.
What do you want to do? Do you want to paint red points on all the climbs we climbed free? And he said, yes, why not? Because we have to show the community that we climbed it free. And it was also a little provocation for the old classic climbers.
Of course, the idea of Rotpunkt, it has to do something also with a protest against the old structures of alpinism.
We wear this kind of knickerbockers and we go out on a Sunday afternoon, maybe we climb a little bit and we sit in a restaurant and have singing songs at these times together. Und stimmen noch in Tode dann in einen Jodler rein. Oh, lo, 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 idio, lo, idio, lo, idio. Everybody will think we are drunk already. Huh?
There are still old traditionalists in Europe thinking of those cliffs as being preparation for the big mountains. So it really was just practice climbing, and meant if that was free climbing, it was free climbing. So I was pulling on gears, stepping in stirrups. It just didn't matter.
There was no free climbing in Germany. It was all aid climbing.
It was strict, yes, because it meant like, okay, you fuckers, no more pulling on the pitons to get to the top. You know, it doesn't count anymore. No, I'm not pulling on anything to get up this, just the rock's features. So the evolution of climbing really just went from just getting to the top of something to how do you get to the top of something.
Wenn ich nach Hause komme, sitzt ein alter Typ. Der meint, er wär mein Vater und ich glaube auch, dass er's ist.
It was like a revolution here. It was absolutely counterculture at this time because it was 100% different.
Everything was like in '68, very famous in Germany, getting more free. Being against structures, being against pressure, being against social pressure. I think free climbing is just an expression of trying to set yourself free. I mean, when I was taking photos of these guys, I was not always sure that there are pictures that will make climbing history or whatever. Except maybe Accent Direct. I knew at this time, oh, that's something really, really special.
Kurt and myself, we met Wolfgang at a climbing festival and we saw he's a really young, talented climber. And 3 years later, he rented a room in the house. And it started to become really well known as a climber house where every climber can stay. And that was when the name Hotel Frankenjura started.
It was always a very open house and always full of climbers. And then it was very communal. So there was Kurt, Wolfgang, Norbert, and Ingrid, Kurt's girlfriend. There were the 4 people living there at first, when I first went to the house.
Bedeutet neben höchster physischer Beanspruchung auch bei 100%iger Sicherung extreme psychische Belastung.
You know, Wolfgang was a leading force in German climbing. You know, he was well known in Europe by early 80s. Truly a great climber. I mean, his resume is not one to be trifled with. In 1985, one of the first big routes that Wolfgang did was Punks in the Gym. That was the world's first 14A. The following year, he would do Wall Street, which was the world's first 14B. And then, of course, the Cap was doing Action Direct.
All the things in your life influences your climbing.
One of the very best sort of place.
When you only see the climbing, you see not the whole person.
Ja, weiß nicht, München war halt komisch.
With Alex, it's not that we have to show him how to do some pull-ups. He knows after all these years how to train.
Und Explosivkrafttraining, hast du da noch mal was gemacht?
One of the biggest points is that we talk a lot. He can call us day and night. One of us, Patrick or me, we are always there for him to handle with the situation, to be a professional climber. And being a professional climber is not easy. When you see in the magazines or in internet, you just see them succeeding, you think, oh, 9A, 9A plus, 9B, 9B plus. But the approach to this and the times in between, all the falls and all the pain and all the suffering, this is a daily struggle. You get up. How do I feel today? Can I train hard? Maybe today I'm not the strongest. What's going on? Yeah, I have to climb hard because it's my job. My job is to climb hard. Yesterday we filmed Wall Street. I think he climbed it a few times, months before. Okay, it was very bad conditions, 28 degrees and humid. And when you're not climbing well, it means for Alex everything. Last year I could do the moves and today not. So now I'm not that strong. So there is something wrong. I'm on the wrong way. He never will say this, but it's inside. Not every day is the same. One day is good, one day is bad. No, every day have to be good. And this is not possible. What can I do to accept this? And this is not fucking easy.
I can't do it.
Let's go.
Not I'm not at the point where I can say I can deal with failure or I'm a patient person. Not at all. I hate failure. Well, I always say there's no excuses. And then somebody replies, oh no, I mean, you could have probably climbed it in better conditions. I say, well, yeah, true, but I could have as well climbed it if it would have been stronger. You have to change negative thoughts into positive thoughts and think, okay, well, I've got a chance to improve.
I always try to help him to deal with all these ups and downs, to come back on track. My philosophy: look good, feel good, climb good.
This is probably a good contender for the strongest shirt right now. I climbed Fight Club in that one, I climbed Lucid Dreaming in that one, so I like the color yellow and I like carrots. And these ones, those two were actually the ones which just started having yellow shirts, because I saw these ones online and I really liked them, so I ordered 3 of those. Each one of them I've probably climbed 1,000 8As and harder. I mean, I've got them since 2013. Then in this one I climbed the 9A onside to start a Critica. Why do I like to combine all my patterns? Well, because everybody says you can't combine different patterns, so I said, well, I can combine different patterns, and there we go. So normally I can combine every shorts with every shirt. I as well don't give a shit, to be honest, whether it matches or not. Oh my god, I look good! More is always more. More flowers, more colors, less legs. I always invited everybody over to the Frank Nero to come and climb with me.
Like we have been before, he's really open. He invites a lot of guests from everywhere to share his climbs.
Are you okay?
Totally normal.
Yeah, it was my dad who introduced me to the sport. Did a course, climbing course with Wolfgang Gillich and Norbert Sander back in the day. Kind of infected the whole family with climbing and took us all out.
One day, this little guy came in directly with his climbing shoes on, huge ones. We said, come on, Alex, try this one. Yeah, okay, Dicky, try. It was not trying, he climbed it. This was the beginning. Yeah, step by step, he climbed harder and harder and harder, and pretty fast we saw that it's not normal what he is able to do. Compared to the other kids, they were all good, and he was megos. Usually he climbed 10 or 12 days and then a half day off. This is the difference also between other climbers. After a hard climbing day or 2 hard climbing days, they need a rest. Alex, no rest. From the day he began with national competitions,
He won nearly everything. When he was 14, up to he was 18, he was really unstoppable. In 2009 and 2010, Alex won 9 out of 10 international youth competitions. Alex expected from himself always 100%. And when it comes to the days when it didn't work out, it's not okay. There was one competition where one guy was a bit better than him. It was the first time ever that someone could hold something where he couldn't hold on. He was mentally wrecked. Every day we talked on the phone and, Dicky, what should I do? Dicky, what happened? Dicky. He always filled up his energy with climbing outdoors. And now you see in his eyes that he also needed again to go climbing outdoors.
Cycling was a 10 out of 10, I would say. I mean, as a teenager, when I was 13, 14, 15, all I wanted to do is go out on rock every day. Straight away after school, I would ride my bike to the train station, take a train, and then we would go out climbing, and I would be back by 11 p.m. I think when I did the 9A on-site, everything changed when that happened. I was in Spain with a couple of mates. Second day, I didn't know what to do, and then I had a look in the guidebook and I saw Estado Critico, that 9A. I was really pumped and really at my limit. Got to the last bolt and looked up and saw the anchor, still not realizing what I've done. And as soon as I got back from the campground, it was all over the internet. And then suddenly I found myself answering emails till 3 a.m. I think that was probably then the moment where I thought, okay, I could become a professional climber.
You know, I remember hearing about him in the magazines, and then he went from being a pretty good climber to being possibly the world's best climber in the span of like a year.
He was just breaking records left, right, and center in terms of how fast, how quickly he was repeating these cutting-edge routes. When you watch somebody who is stronger than anyone you've ever seen before in real life, you almost can't believe that that's possible.
Den letzten ziehst du mal auf und hältst. Halten, 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 halten. Ja, prima. Schon voll im Übersäuerten.
If you're going to accomplish something hard, it's a road littered with failures. It's really easy to get involved with a project and have failure define the project. That's what makes the great climbers. Failure is part of the process, and they don't get downtrodden by it. It just spurs them on to how do I do better.
We are in the original fitness center called Campus in Nuremberg. The thing behind me that is a legendary Campus board, and we built it '88 in the Campus Fitness Center to have a special tool for climbing, training and workout. You hang, you pull, you traverse, go up and down, and we have different edges here. We have the round slopers, we have small ones, we have big ones. I think the holes after so many years they are getting smaller and smaller. For Wolfgang Güllich, this Campus board was the key to the Axior Direct. If he wouldn't train here on the Campus board, it would have taken him much, much longer to do the first ascent, or never.
The Frankenjura is going to be a cruel place for you if you're not prepared for it. A campus board in a place like the Frankenjura, where you have so many small holes and small pockets, it would train you how to basically latch onto these holes.
My idea was to build the Campus board, but Wolfgang Güllich made it really famous because he did his special one-finger pull-up workout for the Axior Direct.
Jetzt ist der Brustmuskel und der Latissimus dorsi am Ende.
Wolfgang brought this training for climbing on a kind of science-based level.
Now I feel good and now I start climbing the route. And Alex is a little bit like this.
It was a milestone for training. He was not touching the rock. He was spending time training and then start to get in the route when he felt strong enough.
First of all, when he did it, nobody knew what it was. I can't remember what he even said about the grade. Whether he was the one who first proposed 9A or whether, I can't even recall.
And the last week I remember, I never saw him before, almost crazy. It was like feverish in his eyes. That really was a completely new grade, Axiom Direct. And it lasted for, it's still a legend.
It was the first 9A.
So since I've started climbing and since I've climbed my first 8A, I started writing down every route 8A and harder that I've ever done in my life. Each of these books has got approximately 700. And if I've got 3 full ones and 1 half full one, that makes 700, 1,400, 2,100 and 2,500 routes. Yeah, since I could climb, I never wished to climb a route more than this one. If you grow up here in the Franken Jura as a kid, everybody tells you about Action Direct. I mean, I knew about Action Direct, you know, the moment when I started climbing. I said I waited a long time and I was standing underneath it many, many times. Then I climbed it and was all within 2 hours. Even if it was not my most meaningful performance, for me it was the best and the most moving feeling to ever top out a route. The history about Wolfgang Güllich and Action Direct is fundamental for our climbing world, and that's why Action Direct always was this mythical route and will always remain what it is. Some of the drawers are 30 years old, so could be that they're hanging here since then. Oh, that's from the top of Ghetto Blaster. Oh, look at that cliffhanger. And then Action Direct.
How old was he when he climbed Action Direct?
He died 31st of August 92 and he climbed it on the 24th of September 91. Just before his 31st birthday.
My time in the Franken Jura ended with Wolfgang's death. I had contacted Wolfgang and said, hey, we're going to arrive at this time. I'll meet you up at the house and go climb. So we drove up to his house. The house was locked. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird, but I knew where the key was. So we let ourselves in, and the phone was ringing, and the phone was ringing, and the phone was ringing, and finally I picked it up. It was Norbert, and I was like, hey, how's it going? He goes, Russ, did you hear? I said, no, what? He goes, Wolfgang had a car accident this morning. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, he was driving back from Munich, and I said, well, how bad? He goes, very bad. He was badly hurt. Wolfgang, well, he became the legend he is.
We're here for 2 weeks trying this route that Chris Sharma bolted 9 years ago called Perfectamundo. Located in, I think, one of the coolest sectors in Margalef. It's called Rocco della Finestra. One of the main walls, that's this wall where Perfectamundo is on, is a 45 degrees steep wall, which is about 20 meters long. And the easiest route on that wall is 14C, so 8C plus. It's kind of all flat, steep rock on small holes. Since I climbed Lucid Dreaming 3 years ago, I've never really tried anything really hard. The crux move, the move from the mono to the pinch, as this individual move coming from the Franken-Jura and being used to monos, I could pretty much do that move straight away. It kind of does not feel as hard when you just do it as an individual move. But then just climbing in a few moves before made you realize that move actually is hard and that will be very most likely the crux of the route, getting past that move. Grande catastrophe. I knew that Stefano wanted to come down as well to Margalef to try the route since he's been trying it a couple of weeks ago. So I was curious to see how he was doing on the route.
Holds.
Yeah.
I think like you'd have to go and train on that style.
And then Chris heard as well that we're both trying Perfectamundo, so he decided to drive out from Barcelona a couple of days.
Esa cinta violeta es donde está el mono. Sí.
The route starts with a few jugs up to the second or third bolt, and from there the hard part of the climbing starts. So after you do the move, after the pinch move, you still have to climb approximately 14B to the top. The actual pull over above the lip is really hard too. There's a super shallow right-hand sloper. The edge of the roof is right where your chest is, so you feel like you're almost hitting. Okay, Jake. So it's definitely not over. You've got a few more hard moves. Then you start reworking each move. You're making sure that you've got the perfect beta, micro beta for each move, where all the fingers have to go, what you have to do to make it just a tiny bit easier. Okay, climbing, Stefano. I was jumping to the pinch, and as soon as I would catch the pinch and kick my foot back on, I was readjusting the pinch. And what I was always doing is I was splitting my fingers like that. I would have 2 fingers on top and 2 fingers up bottom on that pinch. But to actually pull and do the next move, you kind of only wanted 1 finger on top and 3 fingers in the bottom. So you kick your left foot back onto the left hand crimp that you had before, you readjust the pinch, and from there you pull through to the next shallow pinch. But I figured out a more detailed beta for the top, which is good, which is very good, which means I'm not gonna fall there anymore, I think. It's good. Well, less. This happens.
No bad conditions.
There's no bad conditions. There's only weakness. And we take the cheese. Okay, and we still take the meat?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have more.
Okay.
If one, okay?
Later.
Yeah. It's for us, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
For good climbing tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. Butt out, no core tension, and then.
Hell yeah!
Got it! Got it! Out of way, out of way. Oh. Come on. Take. Oh. You see, I've got my fingers fucked up on the hold and I can't fucking move. I can't move. Take. I had it well with 4 fingers, but I was not able to readjust the pinch, and I felt like I could stay there forever, but I was not able to move anymore. Feel free to use it. I've never really tried anything that took me longer than 10 days.
Maybe it's better like this, just wait.
This now is my longest project, and I think that's just because in the past I was never ready to actually project. The pressure of trying one route, I would always stress out too much. I think that was the reason why I was never actually trying something hard. I slowly realized that it will take time if I want to climb my limit. Perfecto Mundo now is the first real project I would say I have. I think everybody gets impatient when they're trying hard routes for themselves or projects. I mean, I was actually planning to stay in Spain for 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, I stayed 2 more weeks. From the moment when I knew that every next try could be the try, I was thinking 24/7 about the route. It felt like I was on the edge. I felt like I was not fun to hang out with anymore, just because I am just so much on the edge that I almost can't cope with people anymore. I kind of want to be for myself, and I think that's a hard time to be around. Dealing with failure or not succeeding all the time for a long period of time kind of gets you. The biggest challenge probably to not lose your mind on the way. I recently learned to accept failure more than I did in the past, because I realized that climbing hard is probably more than 99% of the time failing, just to succeed one time. How many sequences of me taping did you film already?
Over the years, millions.
Of taping I did?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say that is my greatest first ascent. For sure the hardest route I've climbed, and for sure the greatest first ascent I've done.
Nice.
I mean, I knew obviously at the beginning that I was capable of climbing it, but knowing that you're capable of climbing it and actually climbing it are two totally different things.
The art of climbing lies in the Rotpunkt.
Alex embodies the philosophy that Wolfgang began.
It's like an artist being creative, doing your thing, not what the others are doing. Being a creator, it's the most beautiful thing you can do in life, I think.
I want to know what he's working toward. Is he going to be the first one to climb 16A?
I don't think that Perfectamundo is at my limit. I'm trying to find the right way for me to get to the limits of human potential.
The idea of a human overcoming an obstacle, something that is seemingly impossible, is inspiring. It inspires us to be better at whatever it is we do. We'd like to see something impossible and make it possible. Climbing is no different from anything else.
I've already spent more than 40 days on the project and I don't even know how close I am to sending. I'll never be satisfied. Which is alright.